Okay, another Photoshop video. Um, this will involve a lot of things and dealing with superhero edits, which is mainly what I do. Um, the list of things to talk about is high pass, overlays, noise, flares, and embers. Might seem like a lot, but it's really not that bad. So why do we do that? We've got a Supergirl image here, and it looks good, but it's not really poster quality. Um, So there's some techniques to make your edit look like a poster. So the first thing would be the high pass. So to do that, I'm just going to make a copy of Supergirl by pulling that layer down to this section right here. And I'm going to go filter, other, and high pass. Now that's going to give sort of you can see the relief. It's going to sort of make the subject sort of stand out. You sort of just play with this slider a little bit. Um, you don't want to get it too sharp. You know, there are extremes. Um, but just try to dial up the sharpening a bit. Um, I'm going to try a 10 on this. And then we go to um, overlay, and you can sort of see the effect. I think that's a little bit too sharp. So just going to dial down the opacity just a little bit. We want it to stand out, but you don't want it to sort of be too overpowering. Okay, so I think that's pretty good. Now the flares. Let's put a flare on there. You see the light sort of coming from the left. We're going to put a light flare over her left shoulder. So see how it sort of brightens up the left side of her hair when I do that. Okay. And I don't like the flare, you know, obviously covering her face. So going to add a layer mask, soft brush. We're going to make the size of this brush a little bigger, and we're just going to sort of brush away sort of a lot of this area so it looks like it's sort of coming from behind her hair. Okay, and I think that looks pretty good. Now obviously there's some fire, some explosions in the picture, so we're going to add some embers, and I'm just going to drag these over, put them in front. And we're going to blur them a little bit, so filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and okay, I think that looks okay. Maybe a little bit more. Okay, we'll do that. Now, overlays and high pass. Why do we do that? If you can see this sort of, I don't know how to describe it, but you can see this sort of distortion, this sort of uniform distortion around her face. That's noise. So it's not consistent. Obviously right here you don't see any noise. On her face you see noise. So we're going to add some noise to the background. We're just going to create a new layer. I'm going to choose sort of a gray, and I'm going to fill that. I'm going to go overlay and filter, noise, add noise. So we want to look at her face, and we want to look at the background, and we want to sort of get a consistent amount of noise through the whole thing. So it looks consistent. So I think that's pretty close, so we're going to go OK. What else? Overlay. Yeah, sometimes you don't like you just don't want to just do just the noise. Sometimes you want to sort of add a different sort of overlay to bring sort of a different texture. So we're going to try this. This is just a grunge overlay. I thought it would be sort of appropriate in this photograph since we got a lot of chaos going on. So we're going to drag this. We're going to move it to the top. We're going to make sure it covers everything. So again, we're just going to go overlay, and obviously that looks terrible. So we're going to dial down the opacity. So as you can see, this sort of adds sort of a, let me dial it up a little bit, sort of adds a little bit of chaos in the picture, I would say, but consistency as well. Let's actually try that behind the flares and see what that looks like. Okay. So again, this is trial and error. You just have to. This is where you make your choice. Do you want to have a more grunge look to your photo, or are you okay with just the uniform noise? I think the noise looks better in this one, so that's what I'm going to go with. So one more thing you can do is you can just add a color overlay. Let's see, that's the Embers. We're just going to name that Embers. And there's no right or wrong answer here. I see a lot of blue and gray, so we're going to start by choosing sort of a bluish sort of overlay and see what that looks like. So we're going to create a layer. We're going to go overlay, and obviously that doesn't look good. But what I do here is go to hue and saturation, create an adjustment layer, and just sort of play around with the colors. And let's see. Okay, that's sort of interesting right there. You see that darkens it, but still gives us sort of, again, it's a uniformity. So that's the color overlay. So I'm just going to put all this in one layer, or in one folder, and just going to call this overlays, embers, flares, noise. Well, no, there was no noise in there. We're going to call this one noise. Okay, so I'll just show you before and after. See what you think. Again, we started with just sort of a common looking photograph, and once you add the noise, that helps you a little bit, and you add the overlays and the flare. I think that makes for a much better edit. So anyway, I hope that helps someone. Got a lot of things talked about at once, but again, thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments. Thank you.